This book just pissed me off. I'm just telling you what I think. All right, buckle up and get ready for some controversial opinions because today is a very special day. We are officially going to rank the top 20 most popular BookTok books of 2025. I'm going to rank them in order from my least favorite to my most favorite, starting out with books that I legitimately did not like, all the way up to books that I totally think are worth the hype, not overhyped, and were some of my favorite books that I read of this year. This is my personal official list of the books that I think were the most hyped of 2025. We've got some books on here that maybe you haven't heard of, but these were the ones that were all over my For You page, the ones everybody was screaming about, and I'm going to hurt some feelings today. Take your guesses now, hedge your bets. What's going to be at the top of the list? I'm going to give you the next like 5 minutes as I start going to guess. I want you to drop a comment. I want to see a timestamp next to it. I want you to tell me how far into the video you were. Do not cheat and see if you can guess what the top book is. But bonus, if you can guess what the number 2 is, I'm going to be really impressed. It is obviously one of the physical books here, but if you guess what my number 2 book is for the most popular books of 2025, I will find a way to gift you something because I will be impressed if you can guess it. I don't think it's going to be what you think it is. All right, now before we get started, I would like to preface, because I know I'm going to get some comments about this. This is the ranking for the most popular books of 2025. This is not the ranking for my like favorite ever god tier books of 2025. I will do a separate video for that. So you might be a little bit confused by my like top 5 books. You might say, oh, well, you're missing this one, you're missing that one. That's because quite a few of my favorite books of 2025 were sort of underhyped, not popular books. My top 10 favorite books ever of 2025 is going to be a completely different roundup than this list. This is just for the people. This is for the popular books. This is so that I can give you my opinion, so that I can make you mad. All right, so let's start out with spot number 20, my least favorite book. Popular book of 2025. Do you know what it is? Are you going to be able to guess? I'll give you a hint. It was supposed to be Spicy Divergent. And this book I despised. I was so disappointed in. I was so angry. I felt misled. I felt like it was mismarketed. We are going to put Silver Elite down here at spot number 20. Now I'm mostly angry at this book because I feel like the marketing was incorrect. It was described as spicy divergent. It was described as spicy dystopian. And if you know me, if you are a millennial, you understand that dystopian is a very important thing and part of our childhood. And we know what good dystopian is. This book was a romance with a LaCroix level of dystopian elements in it. And the thing about dystopian is like, it's big. It's the point, like the politics and the unrest and everything is that it's like a huge part of the story. And this just felt like a romance with like a little green screen backdrop of dystopian, which was personally very off-putting to me. I felt like I didn't care about the political part of the book because it was just full of plot holes. It was not fleshed out. And I'm not trying to hate on the book. Like it's not a bad book. It's just not what I thought. It's not what I expected. And I personally didn't really enjoy it. And I really, really, really felt like the romance was a copy paste of Xaden and Violet, to the point where I was pretty much picturing Xaden and Violet as our main characters for this book. And that, you know, may have been a reason that I didn't like it. And like, no hate to the author. It's fine. It's fine. And it's fine that people like it. This, my personal opinion, doesn't mean that I don't think anybody should like it. This is my personal opinion on one of the most super hyped up books of 2025. And I also know a lot of other people besides me didn't like it. So maybe this isn't an unpopular opinion. But I'm just going to tell you what I really think. I'm not going to come on here and lie about a book just because it was popular. So Silver Elite is going to go down here at spot number 20. Little bit of tea, but not really. It's going to make you mad. I know who the author of Silver Elite is, and I can't tell you. I can't tell you in such a public manner, but I do know I'm not lying. I know who it is. And I will only say that I'm glad that it's not an author that I have like loved their other work for and have like raved about and who like potentially knows who I am, or I'd be really sad and nervous about like talking about the book like this, but I haven't read anything else by this particular author. I will say that they are a romance author. So I know who it is, and maybe I'll read some of her romance books. Maybe I'll like those better, because with Rebecca Yarros, I like her contemporary romance better than I like her fantasy. So moving on to spot number 19. I did not like this book. I will be continuing the series. And I feel like it's going to be controversial about why it's below one of the other books, but listen, we'll get there when we get there. So I feel like this isn't going to come as a huge surprise, but we are going to put Onyx Storm in spot number 19. I was also disappointed. Now, the reason it's going so far down is not because I think it's a horrible book, not because I really truly despise and hate it, but because I feel like it had so much potential. People get really mad at me when I talk about Onyx Storm. Lots of people ask me, why do you keep reading the series if you hate it? Do you just like to rage bait us? No, I liked Fourth Wing. I liked the plot of Fourth Wing, the dragons, the trials, the college. I love an academic setting. What I didn't like about Fourth Wing was the romance. I thought it was a fast burn. However, I held out because number one, maybe Xaden was an endgame, and number two, maybe there was going to be some sort of conflict later that made it feel less like a fast burn. That was my criticism with Fourth Wing. Iron Flame, I really liked. I rated it 4 stars. I thought it was an improvement. I liked it better than Fourth Wing, and I thought the story had really, really high potential after I read that one. And then this one just pissed me off. I felt rage baited by this book because I really thought it was going to be good with the story, with the plot, with the development, because Iron Flame just sort of took us to a deeper, more like high fantasy feeling area. And so I thought we were going to keep going with that with this. And then this truly just to me felt like it was written by someone else. Like it felt like a different story. This felt like confusing, not because I didn't know what was going on. Confusing, literally just confusing. And character names, like the choice to go from last names suddenly to first names is fine, and I understand makes sense with a military setting, but it was not done in a smooth, integrative way that us as the reader feels like we know the first names before they're suddenly thrown at us. I could talk about this and defend myself for hours. And I feel like simply, I don't think it's good writing to have to force to have your audience have to watch an in-depth 2-hour recap podcast on the first and second book, to have a full like glossary of names and dragons and dragon colors and dragon powers and all of that you feel like you have to reference like every page. Like I think the glossary, having it, is a really helpful thing, and I enjoy that. But like I should not feel like I have to research to read a freaking romantasy book. Like this is a romantasy book. Like I literally had someone comment on one of my videos one time, a YouTube video, that was screaming at me saying that I was unwelcoming to the Empyrean fandom. I was unwelcoming. I made them feel bad, and they won't follow me anymore because I made a joke and said, if you like Xaden, what are you doing here? Like, does no one watch Gilmore Girls? Does no one get sarcasm? Does no one? I'm like the nicest person ever. I just have a sense of humor. And if you can't crack a joke about your favorite books, that's fine. Anyway, let's move on. Spot number 19 is Onyx Storm. If you want my full in-depth review, I have a review on it on Instagram. I've talked in depth about it before. We're going to go ahead and move into spot number 18, which is another book I got rid of, okay? And the only reason it's going above Onyx Storm is because for a while I had fun. And overall, I didn't have as high expectations for it, so I felt a little less disappointed. I just got the ick from this one. So we're going to put Kiss of the Basilisk at spot number 18. Kiss of the Basilisk, it's a hard one to talk about because I really do like and admire the author. I think she's very funny. I think she's very tongue-in-cheek. And truly, I feel like her writing style and maybe her sense of humor in her writing is not for me. And that's fine. I don't have anything against her. I also don't have anything against Rebecca Yarros. Variation was one of my favorite books of 2025. So people out there saying that I'm being terrible to the author, I'm just telling you what I think. I love Lindsay Straube. She's funny. I hope she doesn't get mad and block me because I didn't love this book. But it was just disappointing. So I love a dark, spicy, unhinged, emotional damage filled romantasy. And this was described as a completely unhinged, dark romantic fantasy. I just think it missed the mark on that. I don't think it was dark. I think a lot of it was shock factor. And when you watch a scary movie and you know a jump scare is coming up, it's like incredibly obvious that there's about to be a jump scare. You don't know when it's going to be, but you know it's coming. And I don't know if it's just me, but when I know it's coming and I know the point is to hype me up so that I'll do this, like when something happens, I get irate. I get so mad. I feel manipulated. I'm like, it's it's not really scary if you're just manipulating me into jumping because you're whatever. That pisses me off so bad. I hate that. I hate jump scares. This entire book felt like a jump scare. It felt like the writing was trying to like shock me like over and over and over again. And I will say it shocked me a couple times. It got me excited a couple times. And then for the remainder, I was just like, well, now it has shocked me and done things in such a way that now I feel like I know what's coming. And I therefore am also not going to be surprised or shocked by anything else that happens. Really crazy things happen in it, but the way that they're delivered, they don't feel crazy. They just feel like somebody going like, can you believe it? Oh, can you believe it? And I'm like, well, I can, because there is no part of this book that's not shocking. So what else would I expect? Somebody did spoil what happens at the end. I won't spoil it, but I heard it and I was like, figures. I'm not surprised, and I'm even more pissed off now that I know how it ends. So we'll not be continuing that series. Unfortunately, not even to give you a review. I'm not even going to read it for you. That's how much I didn't like it. I'm not going to read it just to give you a review on it because I wouldn't want to do that. Spot number 17 is actually a pretty disappointing and sad one, because spot number 17 is going to a book that I was really, 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 really excited for that just unfortunately did not hit for me. However, I am still more hopeful for this series and I will continue it. But Skyshade was a little bit of a disappointment. Now, Skyshade was not bad. I didn't dislike it, but I did feel like it wasn't what I expected. And then also there's the point that the love triangle feels a little bit icky in this book, in Skyshade. It feels like our female main character knows who she wants to end up with. She's kind of made up her mind, but then she's just like selfishly dragging this other person along in a way that honestly in this book feels like cheating. I'm not actually against the cheating trope in a romance book or a romantasy book, but it doesn't feel good in here. I don't want her to end up with a certain person, and I also feel like she's literally dragging him along. And then I also felt like this was a little confusing also. So this sort of did the same thing that Onyx Storm did. And these books are much shorter. The Lightlark and Nightbane and Skyshade books are all sort of just over 300 pages. I should not have to reread and study the world and the lore of Lightlark in order to understand this book. And I will tell you, there were moments in here where I had no idea what was going on. It shouldn't be so confusing that you have to reread 2 whole books to like catch every single thing. Like, yes, I'm sure that would give you a more well-rounded experience in general, but it shouldn't be required, and it did feel required that I needed to study. But we do have 2 more books coming before the Lightlark saga is ended, and I do feel very hopeful. I feel like maybe we're in the pit of despair here. We're sort of in the belly of the beast, and I do feel like there is potential for the writing, for the characters, for the romance to get better. And I do know that I saw a little TikTok of Alex Aster writing a certain scene. She's basically told us that one of our favorite characters is going to be unalived. Like, she's not playing around. So I'm very interested. If it's my man Grimm, I don't know if that will shake me to my core so much that I'll rate this 5 stars because I'm amazed at the audacity of the author, or if I'll completely DNF the series and hate it forever. I don't know. So thankfully, I actually did not dislike that many books from 2025. So this section right here is sort of more the medium books. And again, I am ranking them based on the popularity and how hyped they were and my personal opinion on it. So the rest of the books in this pile, I do like, but there are reasons that some are lower than others. So in spot number 16, we are going to put Direbound. Why is it going at spot number 16? I absolutely raved about this book. I do like this book. I think out of all the other books that were the most popular in 2025, this is the correct spot for it though, because there were just books that I liked better. And unfortunately, maybe it's fortunately, there were so many books that I liked that my ranking has been the most complicated thing I've ever had to do because I like too many books. Direbound is going here because it does feel a little predictable. It is very cookie cutter when it comes to romantasy. However, it was a really excellent vibes read. I had a great time with this. I felt like it took the elements from Fourth Wing that I liked and it replaced the romance. There is a listen, people really irritate me when they say that this is a copy paste of Fourth Wing. Number one, you quite literally can't say that when there aren't dragons in it. There are direwolves in here. So that's just not the right way to phrase that. And number two, the romance is completely different. The romance has 2 guys in it, number one. And it's not like having Dane and Xaden. Like there's a completely different like third character, like within the female and the main male character. There's a completely different third character that has nothing to do with how Fourth Wing goes. And the plot is completely different, but it took the games and trials, the bonding with a magical creature, the high stakes sort of military college aspect, and it made that more entertaining. I love those things. I love games and trials. I love a military college. I love bonding with an animal. And it was a really good vibes read, and it was different enough from Fourth Wing that I wasn't distracted by how obnoxious the romance was, because I didn't find the romance obnoxious in here, and I like Stark Therian, okay? I said what I said. So we're going to put Direbound here at spot number 16. So we know I am a sucker for a dark academia. In spot number 15, we are going to put Immortal Consequences, and this is a dark academia gothic romantasy taking place in the afterlife. So not only is it a dark academia, but it's a dark academia for the unalived. And then it mixes three of my favorite things. It's a dark academia, it's gothic, and it has games and trials. This one was just very different than like anything I've read all year. I wasn't able to predict anything that happened. I was just waiting to see what happened, where we went, and I just felt like this was a very refreshing, fun read. This is young adult, so it doesn't have spice in it. However, it does have quite a bit of romance, and I feel like the tension and the yearning, and then also the banter is really good in here. So don't expect any spice. Don't get mad when this isn't spicy. Not everything needs to be spicy, but this was really good. I did feel that the very end of this book, like the last 10 pages, was a little bit weird. And it's not that I didn't understand it. I was just like, why are we throwing this element into this style of a book? So it took my trifecta of things that I love, games and trials, dark academia, gothic, and then at the end threw in a fourth new element that I was just like, wait, this doesn't feel like it belongs here. So the end was a lot. There was a lot going on. It was a little confusing is not the right word. It was just a little too busy at the end of this book. So I just feel like I was tainted a little at the end. Otherwise, it was like a 5-star the rest of the way through, but then I am going to need to know where this ends up going before I give it a higher spot. But this is a really good book. It is still one of my favorites, even though it's lower down in this list. There's just better that I have to share with you. Now, speaking of dark academia, we also have another trifecta in here. We have dark academia, we have vampires, and we have dragon riders. On Wings of Blood, Bloodwing Academy was probably the best vibes read of 2025. This is a vibes read. I feel like it's romantasy, but this feels much less like a super high fantasy that you have to super pay attention to, that has deep lore. This is for the vibes, and this is more romance forward than some other romantasy books. I feel like the percentage of romance in here is a little bit higher. And then there is a slow burn when it comes to the dragon element. So we're going to start out for the most of this book in an academy for vampires, where we have an FMC who is in a forced arranged marriage with a vampire prince, and he is giving Draco Malfoy, so we love that. There's another third guy named Cage in here who I really like, who's giving Rhysand. The author has disappointed me, saying that he might not have any opportunity to be a love interest, but I personally am Team Cage. And then there is dragons and dragon riding in this series. You're going to get a little bit more dragons in book 2, The Bond That Burns. That just came out in its traditionally published form a couple weeks ago. But there are telepathic, sarcastic dragons in here, and then this one, you just have to let it cook, okay? Because there's so much going on that we have to integrate the school, integrate the vampires, and then we integrate the dragons. She can't throw it at you all at once. I think this one's really good. If you let it cook, this was one of my favorite things that I read. It was also one of the most surprising. I did not think this was going to be as high of a rating as it was, but I ended up really liking this, and now I literally tell everybody to read it. So this is going at spot number 14. All right, spot number 13. This was a super popular, super hyped book that came around the same time as Silver Elite, and this one was by far the superior one. I cannot wait for book 2, which I think just got a cover reveal a couple weeks ago. Shield of Sparrows might be a controversial take, because a lot of people who liked Silver Elite did not like Shield of Sparrows, and a lot of people who liked Shield of Sparrows, like me, did not like Silver Elite. So if you're on the other side of this, just hear me out, just listen. Shield of Sparrows number 1 has one of the Sanderlanche things where it's Brandon Sanderson likes to completely gut you the last 100 pages of his books. The last 100 to 50 pages of this book is absolute chaos. This is a book that you have to let it cook. You have to be patient. You have to know you're reading a fantasy, you have to know that there's world building, and you have to know that it will pay off. I personally didn't think that the world building was boring in here. That's not what I'm saying. Some people do think that. And there definitely is a way to do world building that is more engaging and more entertaining. I felt like this was medium. Like it was entertaining world building. I felt like it could have had a couple more like big things happen earlier on just to keep you engaged. But I just am personally not bothered by world building if it pays off, if it adds to the story, and if it cultivates that slow burn vibe. This does have a really good slow burn in it. It's not spice forward. There is a little bit of spice in this book, and I'm pretty sure it's planned to progress later, which is my favorite thing. I don't want every hole filled in book one. I don't want to feel like we've already settled who the end game is. We've already gone all the way. We've already said, I love you. That's not what you're not getting that in this. You're getting what I actually like in a romance. It's a slow burn. It builds slowly. We have trainer trainee. We do have tension. We do have pretty good banter. And then my favorite thing about this book is there are magical creatures and magical monsters, and there's a lot of them. And the creatures, the magical creatures, go to Devney Perry's Instagram and look at the art that has been made for the creatures. They're so cool. Plot twists for days at the end of this book. Don't tell me that you guessed them and then you DNF'd this book before you got to the end, because you're wrong. You need to make it literally to the last page to make sure that you got them all. And I would bet money that no one was able to guess the like 15 plot twists that were in here. Okay, maybe you guessed one, maybe you guessed five, but you didn't get them all. So spot number 13, Shield of Sparrows. Spot number 12 is another dark academia book. We are going to go with Arcana Academy by Elise Kova. This is a book that I was really excited about. I had heard that it was coming out. I heard it was dark academia. I heard it was tarot card magic. And I said, absolutely yes, that is for me. But what I didn't realize was that the man was going to be so for me. So this guy in here, imagine Damon Salvatore, Professor Orion, and like a little bit of Freesand, maybe. I feel like there's someone else that he's like that I'm not thinking of. But this guy, he is the headmaster of the school. Our FMC is in a fake marriage with him, or a fake engagement. So two of my favorite things. Or like Professor Snape is what I was going to say. Not Dumbledore, because that's weird. But he is a broody, sarcastic professor. And the way, honestly, my thing is the way he's described as looking is like my kind of guy. He's kind of described as looking like Damon. Like he's a buff guy, but he's not like a big brick, like warrior guy. He's like a professor, so he's skinnier, he's smaller, but he's very muscular. Do you know what I mean? That's my type of guy. I like a smaller, like lithe, muscular man. Yeah, that's my vibe. I also like a man with a man bun, but I don't always need the guy to be the big, like brick, huge muscles, like linebacker. I don't like that. It's not my thing. So this guy was absolutely for me. Plus the FMC, very refreshing. She, number one, this is weird. This is niche. She's got a hairstyle that I don't see a lot. She's got like a blunt bob hairstyle. I feel like we never see that in our romantasy books. And she is also not annoying, which we love. This also has really good convincing villains and rivals. And we've got an academy setting where you actually get classroom time. It's my biggest pet peeve to read a dark academia where you never set foot in a classroom as the reader. I'm like, what is the point in making this a dark academia if we're not going to be at the academy? So this checked all the boxes, loved the tarot card magic system, and it was just a really good time, and I knew that it would be. So we're going to put this down here. Spot number 12. Spot number 11 is going to go to the book with the biggest and best tension, yearning, slow burn, angsty romance. That would be the Silversmith. You guys, the Silversmith was the epitome of slow burn, tension, yearning. And it also has one of my favorite tropes in it, which is the hidden memories trope. I love when the narrator is unreliable, quite literally, because they don't remember their past. Our FMC in here doesn't remember her entire childhood, her entire life, which is just so much fun. I just think it's fun. I think hidden memories are so fun to read about. They make the plot twists better. They make the emotional damage hit harder. They frustrate you as the reader, but in a good way. That's another reason I liked Lightlark. There were hidden memories in Lightlark as well. And then I'm going to contradict myself because this has a big brick warrior man in it. Now, I like sometimes. I just really like the charismatic skinny dude. So whatever. This has a man that will crawl for his woman. He will do anything for her. So there's like two types of MMCs. There's the book husband that's in here, and then there's the walking red flag, morally gray man. I wouldn't say this man is not morally gray. This man is giving like Rowan Whitethorn from Throne of Glass. He's giving Luther from Spark of the Everflame. He's giving Wilder Hawthorne from Legends of Thesmar. He's that kind of guy. And this was just great. I thought the world was very interesting. I really need to know what happens in book 2. And this was just good. I feel like we're getting to a point where the books are good, but there is better. Like this isn't like top 5, but this was still like a 5-star read. So there's just too many 5-star reads this year, you guys. That's a good problem to have. And these aren't even the underhyped ones. These are the ones that like everybody has talked about. I cannot wait to show you my top 10. Maybe we should do 3 different ones. Popular, and then ranking the top 10 favorite underhyped books, and then ranking the top 10 just literally my absolute favorite of 2025. Do we want that? Let me know. We are at spot number 10. Spot number 10 was a super refreshing read. Spot number 10 is going to In the Veins of the Drowning by Kalie Cassidy. Now this one was just so fresh and so not predictable, and it was just like, it just felt different. It didn't feel cookie cutter. I feel like that's what I'm looking for this year, are books that don't feel like every single other book, unless they like feel like another book, but then they just make it more interesting, kind of like Direbound. But this is, I mean, listen, I was the woman, I was the water, I was the monster. This has a morally gray FMC, which is something that is often either not done well or just not done at all. Our FMC in here borderlines on villain. Like she is not morally, what do you say when you're not morally gray? Morally white? Whatever. She is morally gray. She is, and I love being in her head. I love reading about her because she makes the decisions sometimes that us as readers, we get mad at the FMC for making. She makes the decisions where we're like, yes, yeah, like do that. So I really like how unpredictable and chaotic and real she is. And then I am questioning the romance in here. I do feel like the romance is a little bland feeling. Like I don't know that I love the love interest. Maybe he isn't the end game, or maybe there's going to be something else that happens. I don't know. He is kind of Shadow Daddy vibes, but like I'm like, is he the one? And if I was writing this book, would I make him the one? Probably not. But I'm obsessed with the story. Our FMC is a winged siren. Like she is super interesting, super badass. The story is not predictable. The setting is very different. The villains, the bad guys, the monsters are also super interesting. Like our FMC is literally connected, has a connection, not like a bond. Like she has a bond to the villain. It's so interesting. So spot number 10 goes to In the Veins of the Drowning. If you haven't read that yet, would highly recommend it. It's super short. It's like barely 300 pages, but it feels like you've read something super deep and entertaining and great. Now here's one that might actually be a little controversial, that might make you yell, that might make you question, that might make you think, but wait, you said we are going to put Alchemised at spot number 9. Now, why is it down here at spot number 9? Again, once we've passed Skyshade, everything else are reads that I thoroughly enjoyed. So I didn't not like Alchemised. However, my thing is that I do not like to do rereads in general. I don't like to reread books unless they're like my favorite of all time. And I have already read Manacled, and I had already read Manacled when I picked this up. So this is a personal thing. It actually, we're just going to be real. It doesn't have a lot to do with the book. I think the writing is beautiful. The story is beautiful. The author did a really good job separating all the Harry Potter lore and making this feel like it stands on its own. It's an amazing, well-written, high fantasy, super emotionally damaging love story. I love it. However, vibes-wise, it felt like a reread. It felt like a reread because I have already read Manacled, and this, outside of taking out the Harry Potter lore and taking out that kind of thing and adding a little extra world building and a new magic system, I knew the plot of this book. I knew what was going to happen. And my thing when I read a book is I'm experiencing it for the first time. I'm experiencing the plot twists. I'm experiencing the sadness. And I have already healed from reading Manacled. So I felt like this felt like a reread, obviously, because outside of changing the plot and the magic system and the character names, this is the same plot as Manacled. It ends the same way. Everything happens the same. We just have a different setting. So this is going down here simply because this wasn't my first experience of it. This felt like I was rereading a book. I don't enjoy rereads, and that's That's it. Otherwise, I appreciate this for what it is. I appreciate that it's an amazing book, and I would recommend anybody who hasn't read it to read it. I think you should definitely read it. It's definitely a 5-star book, but it doesn't excite me as much or make me want to recommend it or like go crazy about it because I've already read it, and that's it. And we're going to put it at spot number 9. Now, spot number 8 is going to a book and a series that was highly anticipated because of people's love for Legends of Thesmar. Legends of Thesmar was one of my favorite books series of 2024. So I was excited when Ashes of Thesmar came out. Ashes of Thesmar is a sequel series to Legends of Thesmar, and it follows Ren and Torge, who are side characters in Legends of Thesmar. So Ren is Thea's sister. She is an alchemist, and something that really might sell you on this is the characters are older in here. I think Ren is in her 30s. She's definitely in her mid to late 20s. I'm pretty sure late 20s if she's in her 20s, but I'm pretty sure she's in her 30s. I just don't remember. She is not a child. She is a woman, and she is going to a sort of school. Think of it as like maybe getting your master's degree or something. Like she's going to a very specialized school for alchemy. So it has a little bit of the dark academia, like a little bit of a mixture of a war college mixed with a dark academia vibe in it, which I really like. And I loved the alchemy element. I love how smart and independent and strong Ren is. She does not need no man. However, she does have a man in here that would literally crawl to her across the apocalypse. Torge, book husband. Amazing. I swoon. He's the opposite. He is the silver-haired, man-bun brick of a man who will absolutely unalive anyone who touches his woman in the wrong way. But I swoon for him. He's the other side of the coin. And if you haven't met him yet, girl, he is better than Wilder Hawthorne. He made me say, Wilder who? I'm so obsessed. And this just recently became a completed trilogy. So the 3rd book is already out. Helen Scheuerer is feeding us this year. And if you haven't read this, you do need to read Legends of Thesmar first. Legends of Thesmar is a direct prequel. And there are not only spoilers in here, but there are plot points that are tied to Legends of Thesmar, so it's literally not going to make sense. Like if you haven't read it, you will be missing crucial information. It's a sequel. It needs to be treated as a sequel. I wouldn't recommend reading this on its own or mixing up the order and reading it before. For some series, that really doesn't matter. For this, it does matter. It needs to be a sequel. So spot number 8 goes to Iron and Embers, the first book in the Ashes of Thesmar series. Spot number 7 is one that you haven't heard me talk about because it is one of my most recent reads, and this one I feel like borders. It's on the border. It's a little bit underhyped, but I know it was big for a while. It was a fairy loot box. It was a book people were excited about, so I want to include it on this list because I feel like it deserves more hype, and in my opinion, it needs to be one of the most popular books of 2025. A Dance of Lies by Brittney Arena. Let me tell you the first reason this is getting up here in spot number 7. The man, literally for me, the man is giving Dorian. He is giving charisma. He is giving wit. He is giving funny. He's giving, I actually have a personality, and he's like Princeling vibes. Also, the FMC, very different. She is a dancer. I feel like that's just super interesting to read about. And then the slow burn. The way that this is attention filled, make you want it, make you wait for it, not spice forward book, but it still leaves me like I'm still super enraptured. I want to read it. I'm just not a spice forward person. Like if we put spice in book number 1 and it's done really well and it feels like a slow burn, I'm all for that. I love spice, but this is a book where we are taking our time. This is not an overly spicy book. There is a little bit in here. However, this is an actual, true, well done slow burn. Okay. So you need to let it cook. You need to read it. You're going to swoon over this man regardless, whether or not he's like getting it in. That's not what's most important in this book. It has, an emotional impact. It's got a deep storyline. It does have a completely swoon-worthy book boyfriend, and it is a romance. It is about the romance, but it's a really good, well-done slow burn. And I just think that slow burns should be better appreciated than they are, especially on BookTok. I feel like a lot of people are rushing for the spice. They're rushing for the romance. And I'm like, listen, if a book is going to be part of a series and we're completely getting it on in book 1, what are we going to do for the rest of the series? How is anything going to feel like it has tension? It's like taking a balloon and literally popping it in 5 seconds. That's boring. that's boring. So I think this is a really good example of what I personally really like and would recommend and would love for everybody to get on board with, is a slow burn that's done like this. So spot number 7, A Dance of Lies by Brittney Arena. Spot number 6 was my most anticipated book of 2025. It just came out. It is Hollow by the Twisted Sisters. Now this is a dark, almost gothic feeling, whimsy, literally spicy Pokemon. Listen, it feels kind of like Anathema. It feels kind of like One Dark Window. It feels like you're reading a Twisted Sister book on top of that. It also feels like the Hunger Games. And I just ate this up. Now, the reason it's not within the top 5 is because I am questioning the romance. Now, this might be on me, but I did feel like Hollow was a fast burn. I felt like we did get a good amount of spice in this book. We got a lot of satisfaction, if you know what I mean. And I'm questioning with a book by Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti why that is. So either they're doing something really different and they're writing something that's not quite as big of a slow burn, or they're going to betray us all in book number 2 and we're going to completely not know what's going on. This basically is a story similar to Anathema. There's like woods that are basically growing and taking over cities, and if your town gets got by the woods, like it's gone, it gets eaten. And there is a great hunt every 50 years where volunteers go into the woods. They go to capture all of the spirits that have gone crazy and don't protect the woods anymore, and they need to collect them and present them to the great elm tree. So basically it's like the Hunger Games, but also it's like Pokemon. You got to catch them all, and when you catch one, you get to use its power. It is kind of attached to you. You can use it to fight and better your enemies, whatever. Also similar to Pokemon. And there is a sarcastic, quite rude actually, dragon spirit in here. There are lots of other spirits, but if you're a dragon romantasy girly, I would recommend this to you because the dragon is pretty much the main character spirit in here. And this has a couple of really good plot twists in it that I did not see coming, and they're very interesting. So this was amazing. It is a 4.5 because I'm not a fan of the romance. However, I am sure that as the Twisted Sisters do, they will knock me on my butt. They will have me questioning everything I thought, and either, will unalive like 5 people. But there was a big crew of characters that was introduced in this book at the end that I think is going to make book 2 a little bit deeper and a little bit more Twisted Sister feeling speed. But if you've read books by the Twisted Sisters before and you don't like them, pick this one up because it is quite literally nothing like any other Twisted Sister book. Literally nothing. It is completely new, a completely new vibe, and it's not a bully romance. It's honestly kind of not really enemies to lovers. Like it's very different, and I can't wait to see where we're going. Now, funny enough, spot number 5, we're getting into the good stuff here, by the way. We're at the top 5. Has anybody guessed what spot number 2 is going to be? Spot number 5 is another Twisted Sister book. It is Echo Fort, which is the second book in the Sins of the Zodiac series by the same authors, by the Twisted Sisters. And this is so good. It's such a good series. It has a magical military college. It's got a cast of characters. It's really good. It's really well written. I feel like it's very elevated for the Twisted Sisters. So if you like Zodiac Academy, but you think the writing was cringe, or you DNF'd it because of the writing, I will say the writing is a step up in Sins of the Zodiac. So it's really good. It is a little closer to their original type stuff. Like it's a military college instead of an academy, but like it feels kind of similar. And we do also have a large cast of characters in here, which is something that I love that they do, and they do it really well. Honestly, no notes on Echo Fort. This is true enemies to lovers. It is a slow burn. So it's doing those really well right now. I don't know how many books are going to be in the series, but we literally have a book boyfriend in here. He is a fury. He feeds off of fear. So he's not nice to our FMC. He literally needs her to be terrified of him in order to fill his power. And he is cursed and he cannot feel human emotion. So he's quite literally a bad guy. He literally can't be nice. So Echo Fort is going at spot number 5. Spot number 4. This was a god tier book for me. The Compelling Fate Saga. Now, it's popular now. I still don't see enough people talk about it, but I feel like it's hyped up enough now. It got picked up by a traditional publisher. I do think this ended up being a popular series of 2025. It's so good. It's so good. And you have to let it cook. If you DNF'd this book 50 to even 75% in, you're not going to understand why it's a god tier book. It's not going to make sense. This is one where Everything leading up to the end of the book is important. It makes sense. It is necessary. No, it's not boring, but like some people were expecting this to, I don't know, be spicier or to have like crazy high energy throughout it. This is a fantasy romance book, okay? Remember when you read ACOTAR? I'm so tired of you guys. I'm so tired of you guys saying that everything has boring world building and everything needs to pick up faster. You're gonna DNF for no reason. When you all sat there and read ACOTAR, you read an entire book that was slow. You read a whole book that was slow. And you got gaslit into settling for Tamlin. Y'all read that and y'all liked it. And then that became like a god tier series for you because you let it cook and you got to book 2, which is where it got really good. Do that for the books that you're reading current day. Not just because you've already read ACOTAR, just because you've set your foundation and you're into romantasy now, doesn't mean that every other series that you pick up after that is going to immediately be like, I got you. I grabbed you. Not every book is going to be crazy in the first 50 pages. This series, yes, this is a series for you if you want that. The Sins of the Zodiac literally never slows down. This one needs time. And all y'all really piss me off talking about ACOTAR being a god tier series, but you can't read the first book in any other series? Stop it. Spot number 4. Rant over. Spot number 3. Another one of my most anticipated reads and BookTok's most anticipated reads. I'm really glad that this series is getting the hype that it deserves, and I saw so many people being excited about it because Eldritch, god tier. So good. So good. This book did not disappoint. This book is character driven. It's plot driven. It's character development driven. Yes, it is spicier than Anathema, which apparently is super important to some people, but like Carrie Lake writes meaningful stories. She also writes immaculate, like Tears by Sabrina Carpenter style spice, but you have to earn it. The reason her spice is so good is because you want it so bad by the time that you get it. It's literally like it's actually satisfying, okay? So there is quite a few spicy scenes in this. Like this is a perfect combo of a slow burn that still manages to have spice in it because listen, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but it has nothing to do with the plot and maybe it'll help you decide to pick it up. This man in here has a Jacob's ladder. Do you know what that is? If you don't know what that is, you're gonna have to look it up. I can't tell you what that is on here. And the slow burn is that he hasn't gotten it all the way in yet. Basically, we go a rung at a time. So we're having spicy scenes and we're having stuff go in, but he's not all the way in there yet, and it's excruciating. Like the slow, it's so good. It's weird, it's really hard to explain, but you get to have meaningful, emotional, like spicy moments. But homeboy has not gotten it all the way in yet, okay? Like, and not at the end of even at the end of this book, it's not all the way in there yet. So we're gonna have to wait for book 3, and that's gonna be, I'm gonna have an out-of-body experience when he sinks to the hilt, you guys. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Amazing. Also, the end of this book will make you cry. The end of this book is devastating in the best way. And that's all I'm going to tell you about it. Spot number 3. Did anybody guess spot number 2? I'm going to need to explain to you why it's the book it is because it makes sense. Okay. And again, popular books ranking. So spot number 2, last chance to try to guess it before I show it to you. It's going to be Brimstone by Kalie Hart. Now listen, Brimstone is going at spot number 2. Number 1, because it was an excellent read for me. I feel like it's not overhyped. I feel like it deserves the hype. And that is the reason it's going at spot number 2, because this book outside of Onyx Storm was probably the most anticipated book on BookTok. Like the entirety of BookTok waited a year for this book. We were excited. This did something that's really hard to do. What this was a book that people waited for a year. They hyped it up in their head. They hyped it up on BookTok. Everyone was excited for it, and it still managed to be amazing. So I'm going to put it in spot number 2 for that reason, because you know how often it is like if you it didn't fall prey to being overhyped. This isn't an overhyped book. I think it was worth it. I think it was worth the wait. I think it was better than Quicksilver, and I think it made me really excited to read the next book. So that is why we're putting it there. I also felt like it went a lot deeper than I thought it was going to go. There was a lot of character development. There was a lot of like plot and world building that was actually really good, in my opinion. There are some slow parts in this book that the people who are complaining about world building are not going to like. I thought they were all necessary, and they did make the end of this book much more impactful. And I think it's really hard in BookTok to have a book, and to be an author, to have a book that every single person is waiting on, and then have it come out and have it exceed expectations. I do feel like this exceeded expectations. I do think this is a controversial opinion because this is a pretty divided book. I do think other people really didn't like it. I don't know, it seems kind of 60-40, more people liking it than not liking it, but I have gotten some pretty hateful comments about how people are saying, if you like this book, this changes, that this is going to change the way I view your recommendations. Like, okay, goodbye. Like, all of these books are completely different. So if you don't like Brimstone, I would bet you a large amount of money you would still like one of these books. Reading is diverse, okay? Not you, if you want to read every single book and have them all be exactly the same, that's fine. If you can't take someone's recommendations just because they like a book that you don't, you are the problem. You are the problem, and you're mean and you're annoying, and I don't know why you would comment that on my video. So thank you for ruining my day to the person who said, I'm rethinking all of your recommendations if this was a good book to you. Shut up. Shut up. So Brimstone, spot number 2, because it was a book, a super hyped book that in my opinion lived up to the hype. In my opinion. Spot number 1 though. Very excited about spot number 1. Spot number 1 is going to go to The Ascended by Parker Lano and Bree Greenwich. This literally god tier. I'm so glad that this is a popular book, because I would be sad if I wasn't able to put it on this list. Like this, it makes me happy that this is getting the attention that it deserves. And it was a book that was like medium, or people were medium excited about it. And then once they read it, they were like, oh, this is really good. This is a god tier book. This is my favorite popular book of 2025. And I think it's so good. I've heard that it's even better if you have read Riftborn and Duskbound, which I have not, so it could potentially be a 7-star read. I'm going to read those in retrospect and let you know what I think. But this, so good. Everyone needs to read it. The book Boyfriend is completely different. The FMC, super interesting powers, super interesting magic system, games and trials that are actually high stakes, entertaining, and don't feel like an afterthought. The Ascended is going in spot number 1. So here is my top 20 ranking, the most popular, in my opinion, books of 2025. Are you surprised that Brimstone is in spot number 2? I'm kind of surprised, but I hope you understand why I put it there. Let me know if I left any off. Let me know if you agree. What's your biggest disagreement here? What's your biggest agreement? Is my number 1 surprising? Is my number 20 surprising? And then let me know what you're most excited for. Do you want to see my top 10 most favorite, completely underhyped books that were not big on BookTok? And then do you want to see my top 10 favorite of all time for this year? Do you want to see those as well? Because those are 2 completely different rankings. So if you're interested, I'll share them. And I do plan to do a video of book boyfriends of 2025 that pissed me off. So we will be doing that. Go ahead and throw your guesses for those in here. I'll see you for my next ranking. Please let me know which one you're most excited about and if I should get rid of one.